Item 2.1, call to order. I will call the Paris Union High School District Board meeting to order at 3 p.m. I'm going to ask for a roll call to determine a quorum. Trustee Campos, he's on his way. Trustee Hall?
Here.
Trustee Stafford?
Here.
Trustee Anaya, she's on her way. And myself, Trustee Garcia, here. We've established a quorum. Item 3.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on closed session items only. Are there any public comments for closed session items?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you. Item 4.1, adjourn to closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
Trustee Hall?
Second.
Trustee Hall and Trustee Stafford. Any discussion? See none, please vote. Item 4.1 passes, 3 in attendance and 2 absent, and we will be going to closed session at 3:01 p.m. Item 5.1, the regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District will be reconvening at 5 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing for the invocation.
If we can just take a moment of silence to kind of extend a prayer to all our graduates that will be graduating, that they can have the best of luck in their upcoming future. Thank you.
Please be seated. Good job. Item 7.1, recess. The board president will recess the meeting to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute Charter School. We are recessing the meeting at 5:01 p.m. to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute. The regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District is reconvening at 5:59 p.m. 8.1, revision, adoption, ordering of agenda, June 1st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Campos. Any discussion? See none, please vote. Item 8.1 passes 5-0. Item 9.1, report out of closed session.
Nothing at this time, President.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Item 9.2, district update by the superintendent.
Thank you, President Garcia. Well, today at this time, we would like to recognize 7 wonderful Paris Union High School District students who have earned multiple state seals of literacy. This is an outstanding achievement that reflects their dedication to academic excellence and multilingual proficiency. The Riverside County Office of Education has provided special recognition certificates and medals for our students, and we are pleased to present them at this time. Congratulations to each of the students on this remarkable accomplishment. And we are going to ask Mrs. Prince Prado to come forward to present the awards. Welcome, Mrs. Prado.
Thank you so much. I am, as the coordinator of multilingual programs, I'm so excited for these students and for these accomplishments. These students represent the very best of multilingual excellence in Paris Union High School District. Their achievements remind us that multilingualism is an asset that strengthens their schools, our community, and our future. So at this time, it is my honor to present these outstanding students to the Board of Trustees for recognition this evening. At this time, I would like to invite each student to come forward as their name is called to be recognized by the Board of Trustees and receive their special medals and certificate. From Liberty High School, we welcome Alice Oliva Aguilar, who earned a seal in American Sign Language and Spanish. Alisa Salas, earning an American Sign Language and Spanish. From Paloma Valley High School, we welcome Cesar Davila, earning a seal in American Sign Language and Spanish as well. Also from Paloma Valley High School, Emi Garcia, American Sign Language and Spanish. From Paloma Valley High School, we have Alani Maya Arenas with seals in French and Spanish. Also from Paloma Valley High School, Andrea Cepeda, French and Spanish seals. And last but not least, we have from Paloma Valley High School, Santiago Cruz, also with seals in French and Spanish. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding students and their families. Congratulations.
Now picture time. Listen.
Let's squish him a little more on this. All right, in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And then a silly face in 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Okay, before we move to the item number 2, let's give another round of applause for our wonderful students. We are very proud of you. Now we are very proud to recognize Paloma Valley High School student athlete Arthur Stringer for an outstanding and historic track and field season. Arthur became the first male athlete in school history to win CIF Masters Championships in the triple jump and went on to compete at the California State Track and Field Championships. There, he achieved a personal best jump of 49 and 975 and earned the title of California State runner-up. Congratulations to Arthur and to Paloma Valley High School. The last item that I have on the update is kind of a quick summary for our community, for the parents, for the students, and for the board in terms of what is coming up. In the last 2 years, during the first year, 24-25, we focused on ensuring the safety of our students. Based on the data analysis, we identified that fights was a very big concern. Students cannot learn, teachers cannot teach if they don't feel safe. So we have a laser, strategic, focused approach, and with the help of all of our staff members, campus supervisors, teachers, administrators, we are happy to report that at Paris High School, it was a reduction of 83.3% in fines. That is a wonderful accomplishment for the whole community. Same thing at Paloma Valley, it was 60%, right, Dr. Rochelle? So that is great. During this second year, we focus on attendance. Our students cannot learn, our teachers cannot teach if they are not in school, right? So from 88.5% attendance rate that we had in 2024, it has been increased this year to almost 93%. Wow. And we are hoping to pass the 93%. At the same time, during this year, that we have worked on attendance, and we didn't forget about safety, so we were doing both things at the same time. We focus on creating different opportunities to our students. And one of them is the Cal Gets It program, where our students have the option to earn up to 2 years of college credit while they are in high school. And we started this pilot program at Heritage High School, and it has been very, very successful. That is one of them. The other one is the Inland Online Academy that we started with 50 students. By the end of the first semester, in December, we had around 140. Right now, we have 250 students. And these are students who were not attending our regular schools. Our students in our community, they are facing different challenges. So we need to provide the options, and I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to the board for supporting these efforts and providing those options and opportunities for our students. But that's the end of it. We have safety, we have attendance, we have the programs. What's coming next? This coming year, 26, 27, and we already started working, is a focused, laser-focused, strategic, intentional approach on academic achievement. So we are getting the data at this time, high school graduation rates, high school A3 completion, Cal Gets It completion, AP classes, and the data desegregated by English learners, students with disabilities, foster youth, Hispanic, African American, and all the demographics, Caucasian students, Asian Americans. So we are going to identify the magnitude of the problem, the magnitude of the situation, and then address the situation, address the issue. Who is going to be doing that? All of our team at Claros Union High School District, starting from me, the assistant superintendent, director of curriculum instruction, everything with the support of the board that is going to go to the teachers, that they are going to provide the input, and they are going to decide how we are going to be addressing that. So we have phase 1, safety, phase 2 this year, attendance and programs, phase 3 for this coming year, that is academic achievement, phase 3, letter A, is a focused approach in mathematics. So I'm glad that CMI is already working on that. Right? So the idea is, we're already working, we already started the work with our coaches, with our teachers. Our students, we believe in them, we believe in you students. We know that you are capable of mastering the standards in mathematics. And we are going to make sure that we support you in order to do that. Second semester, depending on the implementation, we can transfer that into the science curriculum, because there is some connection, right, math with science. So that is what is coming up, and I want to just share this with you so you know the future for our students, the wonderful opportunities, and we know that you are going to do everything that you can, because you have the potential. And with the support of our staff and our teachers, you are going to thrive. So thank you so much, and this concludes my address.
It was brought to my attention, students, you're more welcome to leave, but you're more welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations again.
Item 9.3, CSEA President Cynthia Navarro.
All right, good evening, President Garcia, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Rao, Cabinet, and guests. Well, I always try to keep it short and sweet, but I'm a talker, and I would just love to tell you guys all about it. So, last month, you may recall, we had CSEW, right, Classified School Employee Week. So during that week, we held our ACE program, Appreciating Classified Employees, where leadership came out to our different sites, departments, to basically work alongside us, shadow us. I want to tell you about my experience. Can you guess who shadowed me? Take a guess. Our very own, yes, Dr. Rao. So I just want to share this because, not long after he arrived, the phone rang, and he kind of just looked like, are you gonna answer it? And I'm like, oh, here's your first assignment. So he answered the phone, and I work in the athletics office, so it was a coach. And he had a question about, I can't even remember, but it was sports. And he just very gracefully and with a smile, very professional, like, no, I don't know the answer, but I can sure find out for you. And just that may seem very simple, but that's not what stood out for me. What stood out for me was his commitment to the person on the other line, his willingness to help, his professionalism. And that is something I truly see every day with him. Every interaction I have and what I've observed, I see that leadership in him. I see that humility, that wanting to work with us, to be there next to us, to learn from us. So I just wanted to share that because I truly value that. So thank you. It was great, having you there. So thank you. I also want to extend a sincere thank you to all the directors and the principals who showered us throughout the week with all these gifts and recognitions because it truly did something for us. We felt genuinely cared for, valued, and I appreciate that on behalf of my CSE brothers and sisters. All right, well, lastly, while serving on interview panels, I observed some hiring practices that raised some questions for me, and I shared those observations with Mr. Andrade. I told him, and I want to tell all of you, I appreciate his openness and responsiveness in addressing my concerns. He listened to me. We have had productive conversations, and I value his collaborative approach and commitment to ensuring our hiring processes remain fair, transparent, and equitable for all candidates. Because that is my goal when I go in there. I want to make sure it's fair for all. He listened to me, we had a discussion, he has a plan in place, he has a system, and I really, truly appreciate that because a lot of the times it's like, oh, we already know who's gonna get it. Why even apply? Oh yeah, and no, I've been working with him and I can really vouch that he's really trying. So with that, I know we have one more board meeting this month. I may or may not be here, so I just thank you for your time. I wish you enjoy the summer. I know I will. I'm working summer school, but 410s is gonna be great. So thank you for that, for supporting that. Thank you for supporting us throughout this school year, throughout this semester, and we'll just come back stronger than ever to finish out this year. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. PSCA President, Jason Miller.
Thank you.
Last call, Jason Miller. 9.5, comments by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Campos.
None at this time. Well, congratulations to, I think it was Heritage on the first football, the girls, I don't know if it was Powder Puff or the flag football, so that's pretty much it. And there was other things, but yeah, that was it.
Thank you, Trustee Campos. Trustee Hall.
So it was pretty neat. Went to, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess it up. The
Jesus Rally.
The Jesus Rally, there you go. And to see all these kids go out there and have free pizzas and lunch and interact with each other and have a good time, that was just great. I was able to go there, so that was great. Also the FFA Awards for Heritage. The FFA group is just amazing. It's just top notch. And, Steve and I went to the Paris one, and we were walking through and all the sports people, they had the banners around the fence. And when we get in, I'm like, wow, how come they don't have the FFA group? There are so many of them, there's no room. There's just a lot of students, and everything that they did is just great. They, they asked me to speak. I don't speak as good as they do. The students are just top notch. They're great. So I love the FFA groups. So had a blast.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Stafford.
I have to echo what Trustee Hall is saying, that FFA is, I worked with them back in the day and was at the event with you that night for a little bit, and they're always top notch at all the sites, so that was really good. I would just, my message is, let's get through the graduation safely and get our students off to their next stops, careers, schools, whatever it is they decide to do. And I'm just really proud of them that they've gotten to this point. They're going to get out of it. Which is hard for some people, get out of school, which is hard for some people. It was for me, I know. So just want to wish them well for graduation. We can get it done. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Trustee Anaya?
I was able to join the FFA for Heritage, and it was awesome. They are a special group, and I brought my kids with me, and I think I'm gonna start bringing them more often because it's they have so many questions like, who's that? What do they do? Just to kind of introduce them to what's going on and the options they're gonna have, because it's like I want them to be inspired already to hopefully make better choices and see these kids that have a good head on their shoulders and be a good influence over them. So I was grateful to be there with them. I smacked them a couple times, but they did good overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. I want to say thank you to everybody, all the administrators, all the cabinet, all of the unions. I have mixed feelings about negotiations, the results. You know, sometimes when the board gives, well, I shouldn't say sometimes, every time the board gets involved and gives a direction to the district and the district carries it out, it's with great intentions to make everyone better than what they were yesterday. And the goal is to be better the next day than we were today. So we're looking forward. We're not looking about staying stagnant or behind in times. My heart hurts because of the vote. It hurts because we've worked so hard to come together. And it wasn't a one-party group. It was everybody coming together. And I would like to see more success in negotiations. I would like to minimize the downfalls of that. And like I said, I want to thank the cabinet because the unions and cabinet coming together collectively is huge. You know, people say, oh, it's got to be adversarial. We always have to fight each other. No, we don't always have to fight. We can come together collectively and make great decisions because ultimately this benefits the students, not just the adults that are working, you know. But anyway, I'm going off on that. I do want to say I'm excited for graduations, and I hope to see more cooling stations. I hope to see water bottles being sold. I don't care if you guys have to order pallets or whatnot. These are things we've talked about over the years. I want as many, I was going to call you guys TSOs, as many campus supervisors as possible working because the presence should be seen. Parents need to feel safe coming to these events. Staff needs to feel safe. I want to see as many police officers and the sheriff's department, of course. I have to separate everybody. Shade is a big thing. I don't want us to have a repeat like we've been having where people passing out in the bleachers. I want to see staff there and able to be there in a timely manner, response time. I want to see everybody being helpful. So whatever it takes, let's make it happen. I know we could do it collectively. I'm not saying anybody's doing bad. I'm saying let's be better than what we were last year. And it's going to be exciting. Hopefully we get fireworks this year. That didn't look good, that response. All right, moving on. Item 10.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. Are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
No public comment.
All right, thank you. Item 11.1, curriculum, public hearing for the local control accountability plan and annual update for 26-27. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing to receive comments regarding the local control accountability plan and the 26-27 annual update?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Anaya. The public hearing regarding the local control accountability plan 26-27 annual update is now open at 6:22 p.m. Ms. Lindsay Chavez will give a presentation.
Good evening, President Garcia, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Arao, our cabinet members, and our educational partners that remain. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present this evening. Before I continue, I would just like to share that in front of you is your 26-27 LCAP binder. It has the full 209-page LCAP report. However, if you don't want to read all of that, there is an 11-page summary that also includes the data, disaggregated data that is in the LCAP. And there's also a copy of tonight's presentation in there as well.
And if we master those 11-page summary, can we pass a test?
Yes, there will be a test at the end.
Got it. Do we get a prize?
Always. Tonight is a public hearing on the 26-27 Local Control and Accountability Plan, the final year of our current 3-year LCAP cycle. And the work that you're about to see is the culmination of 2 years of Ed Services-led implementation, 2 years of feedback from our families and our students, and a year of significant progress for our students. I'm going to walk you through what the LCAP is for review, where our funding comes from, what we accomplished this year, and what the 26-27 plan invests in. I want you to leave tonight with a clear picture of how our laser focus on attendance that Dr. Arau mentioned drove the increase in our district's funding, which is the foundation for every investment in students that you'll see tonight. The LCAP is California's accountability framework for how districts plan, spend, and report on funding, especially the funding that's tied to the students who need the most support. It connects 3 things. It connects our goals, what we're working toward, the actions, what we'll do to get there, and the investments, how are we going to fund this work. It is a 3-year plan, and it's refreshed every year, as you know, and we're going into year 3, closing out this 24 through 27 cycle, and preparing the bridge to 27 to 2030 LCAP report. That is crazy to say, 2030. On this slide, you'll see the students that we serve in PUHSD. 10,801 students enrolled across 10 campuses, and the breakdown on the right is what makes our LCAP what it is. And I want to draw your attention to what ties them together. Our English learners, our foster youth, and our low-income students make up what the state calls our unduplicated pupil percentage, or UPP. Now, nearly 3 out of every 4 PUHSD students fall into that count, and that single number is the engine behind our supplemental and our concentration funding. These are the students our LCAP is built to serve. And as you'll see on the next slide, these students are also what generates the funding behind the plan. The funding generated by these students carries one specific rule. It must supplement, add to the educational services that we already provide. It cannot supplant or replace any services that we'd be providing anyway. And every dollar that you'll see invested in tonight's LCAP has been designed to provide increased or improved services for our students beyond what the base program already delivers. So let's take a moment to review how PUHSD is funded. Every California district receives money through the Local Control Funding Formula, or the LCFF. And there are 2 pieces to that. First, every district gets a base grant. That's a per student amount that funds the foundational education program for all students. And then second, on top of that, districts get supplemental and concentration grants. These are extra dollars that are generated by the enrollment of the unduplicated pupils that we discussed earlier. Now, because our unduplicated pupil percentage is approximately 74%, PUHSD generates a meaningful amount of supplemental and concentration funding. And this is the engine that powers the LCAP investments that you'll see tonight. But here's the through line for the rest of the evening. The more our students attend school, the more ADA we generate. And the more both base and supplemental concentration funding flows into the district to invest in our students. Our vision, mission, and the superintendent's 5 pillars are the through line for every LCAP decision that we make. This is our district's strategic plan. And the 5 pillars that you see on this slide are the cornerstone for all the processes across schools, all the different sites, and our district departments. The 5 pillars and the district priorities that Dr. Arau spoke about earlier are operationalized through the 5 LCAP goals. That's where the magic happens. That's how we make these goals come to life. Our goals start with 2 academic goals. Goal 1 is our academic ELA in math, grade level proficiency in the foundational disciplines. Goal 2 is our academic college and career goal. That's a comprehensive academic goal that encompasses graduation, A through G completion, college and career readiness, dual enrollment, the new IB implementation, AP, and of course CTE. Goal 3 is our student safety and well-being goal. Safe, positive environments for every student, as Dr. Aro mentioned earlier. Goal 4 is our family engagement, our home school community connections. And goal 5 is a special goal. It's the equity multiplier. This is a focused goal and funding that is specifically for Paris Lake High School and for the Inland Online Academy, the only 2 eligible sites for this funding source. Now, tonight's story has 3 acts. Year 1 in 24-25 is where we've been. Year 1 set the goals, the plan was new, the systems were still forming, and we had structural gaps to close. Year 2, this is the year Ed Services built the infrastructure to deliver. We brought on new roles. We brought on instructional supports and coaching, a dedicated CTE team, stronger partner voice, and most importantly, a multi-tiered attendance recovery system that produced the biggest funding win our district has had in years. Now what's next? Well, year 3 continues what's working. It sharpens what isn't. As Dr. Aro mentioned, we need to pay attention to math. We need to continue to decrease chronic absenteeism for our highest need students, and specific opportunity and access goals across all of our demographic groups. And this bridges us into the 27 to 30 LCAP cycle. Let's talk about attendance for a moment. After COVID, something shifted in how students and families thought about school. And keeping students home became normal. And that uphill climb to re-engage them has been one of the hardest things we've worked on as a district. The numbers that you see on this slide are not just a recovery story. They are a behavior change story. It's a belief change story. We didn't just chase attendance, we changed what attendance means to our students and our families. Now let me walk you through what that looks like. Chronic absenteeism dropped down 4.4 points. Multiple student groups improved year over year. English learners down 6.6 points. Our long-term English learners down 5.3 points. Our homeless students down 7.9. Our Hispanic students down 4.6. And our socioeconomically disadvantaged students down 4.2. These aren't easy populations to move. The fact that they all move together tells us that this is systemic. This is not coincidental. Our funded ADA grew to 9,947. More students learning in seats every single day on average. And this was from the April 15th P2 figure. That's the count that the state uses to set that LCFF funding, and it's up. Our IOA enrollment, as Dr. Aro mentioned earlier, quadrupled. That's nearly 300 students that we either kept or won back. 251 current PUHSD students who chose to stay with us instead of leaving for a charter school. And another 40 who had already left and came back to us through IOA. Plus a handful transferring in from neighboring districts. And these are students that would have otherwise, we would have lost to charters or private schools with more flexible options. But we provided a different path for them instead here in our district. And then there's that big giant number, 31,208. Those are the recovered instructional days across our attendance recovery programs. Independent Study and Scholar Saturday, to name a few. These are days of learning that would have been lost without this intentional intervention. The trend band in the middle there shows the longer arc. We started at 88.5% in the 23-24 school year, rising steadily. Now my 92.16% is now out of date because this number increases every single day, and I just updated this presentation 4 days ago. But we are clearly on track for that 94% goal for 26 and 27. This is sustained multi-year change. But here's what I really want you to hear tonight. Recovering attendance is just one thing. But what we actually did was we changed behaviors. We changed beliefs, the supports, and the values. Our students are showing up. Our students are engaged. And recovering attendance is the metric, but delivering a high quality education that supports our students and our community, That's the win here. Our attendance is up, our ADA is up, our LCFF funding is up, and that's more dollars to invest in our student success. This attendance win didn't happen in isolation. It was part of a much broader build out. And this is the infrastructure that our Ed Services team raised in 25-26. The systems that drive our year 3 results, and we're going to carry into that new 27 through 30 cycle. Of course, our attendance and enrollment in recovery, that multi-tiered system you just saw, led by our attendance teams across sites in our departments. Our district-wide instructional coaching team, meeting teachers where they're at and supporting best first instruction. That dedicated CTE team, this is what enabled our district-wide CTE pathway expansion and what is leading the continuous growth. Our coordinator of multilingual learners, Ms. Prince Prado, who you met earlier tonight, the intentional investments in instructional supports for our English learners, and continuous educational partner feedback, really elevating the voices of our families and our students. Those site-led comprehensive needs assessments and action planning, this is what enrollment and engagement recovery looks like at scale. Every item on this list is an investment that compounds. None of these are one-time wins. They are that durable infrastructure that makes the 26-27 plan deliverable. And they're what we're going to continue to carry in that next 3-year cycle. The 2025 California School Dashboard is the clearest evidence that our LCAP investments are working. Look at the colors on this slide. 3 green indicators, 1 yellow trending up, and 1 previous orange indicator now green. Our college and career indicators are up 7.4 percentage points to green. We've gained 13 points since 2022, exceeding that 3-year target goal. This will continue to rise due to the work of our dedicated CTE team, our expanded pathways, dual enrollment growth, and college and career counseling. Our English learner progress, 6.9 points moving from orange to green. Our long-term English learner progress hit green, rising 8.8 points. And that's the coordinator of multilingual learners role, designated and integrated ELD and EL specialist supports. Our suspension rate, President Garcia, you mentioned this earlier, down to 2.8. This multi-year sustained progress is through positive behavior intervention supports. It's through the restorative practices, the alternatives to suspensions that we've implemented, and the wellness center supports. Our A through G completion exceeded our 3-year target by more than 6 points. But, on the other hand, we are completely honest with ourselves about the indicators that need work. We know that we have so much more to do. And as Dr. Arau mentioned, math achievement is one such example, and the 26-27 plan responds to those needs directly. But the story on this slide is clear. We are an upward moving district. So this year, we expanded our educational partner engagement, and we're very intentional in ensuring that our family and community voices are reflected in our plan. 2 primary data sources anchored this work. First, there was a family and community feedback survey that was available throughout the year. We scored about 25 indicators on a 1 to 5 scale aligned to our 4 LCAP goals. Second, we had our superintendent student advisory. Student teams from all of our sites generated and proposed actions across all 4 of our LCAP goals. And then reinforcing both of these, we also drew on the California School Parent Survey, which is the state-administered parent survey. This is the instrument that we use to track parent engagement as a formal LCAP metric year over year. On top of these, we held 4 parent advisory committee meetings, 5 DLAC meetings, 3 special education parent advisory committee meetings, 8 district leadership, monthly bargaining unit consultations, school site council, and ELAC at every site, 5 budget advisory meetings. I think that's right. Is it 5? 4? Sorry, there was a lot. And expanded consultation at our 2 equity multiplier sites. What you see on this slide are only 3 examples of direct. You said we're doing translations among many. Every example here is documented input that led to a specific change in the 26-27 plan. CTE expansion came directly from student and parent voice, the most named priority district-wide. The anti-bullying campaign came directly from families. Bullying awareness was an emerging need from the Family and Community Survey and that school parent survey. The bilingual para-educators at every site came from DLAC and EL families asking for stronger classroom level support for English learners. This is family engagement that shows up by name, in our actions, in our metrics, and in our expenditures. Let's talk money. Our funding is growing. Our total LCFF entitlement is $168.1 million. This is our total LCFF revenue, which is the base grant plus the supplemental and concentration dollars. Those supplemental and concentration dollars are about $36.1 million, and it's generated by our unduplicated pupil percentage that we discussed earlier. It's up about $2 million from last year. Now, every dollar of this is dedicated to increasing or improving services for our highest need students, and that's the supplement, not supplant rule that we discussed earlier. Our total LCAP investment is $38.9 million, and that's that $36.1 million in the S&C, the supplemental concentration, plus additional equity multiplier dollars for Paris Lake and IOA, and then also LREBG, which stands for the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. That funds 2 specific actions in our LCAP. Our actions and our investments are driven by the greatest needs of our students. So there's no gap between what we invest and who it serves. And the big takeaway, every one of these numbers are up because our students are showing up to school. So this slide shows where the money is invested by goal. Reading left to right, here's how the $38.9 million flows across our 5 goals. We invest $25.6 million in academics across 2 goals. That academic ELA and math, the Tier 1 Best First Instruction, the Tier 1 math curriculum, the Math TOSA, our instructional coaches, our English learner supplemental services, led by our coordinator, and instructional technology. Goal 2 is that academic, college, and career. This is our largest investment in this goal. It funds the extended day, the full CTE pathway portfolio, the CalGETC, our IB program implementation at 3 sites, AP capstone, dual enrollment with our university partners, AVID, and expanded counseling services. Goal 3 is our student well-being, mental health, our wellness centers, our school safety, our SRO support, and our restorative practices. Goal 4 is engagement. Those are our community liaisons, our parent square, our partnership coordination. It's a smaller dollar amount, but it's high leverage work. And then goal 5 is that special goal that I mentioned earlier that is specific to Paris Lake High School and IOA. It's focused on the site-led work and the goals and actions that the site leadership developed. And then we have that Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, the LREBG. It's about $2.1 million in total across 2 actions. It funds the Apple Neo device pilot and also sustains our alternative to suspension and our restorative practices work district-wide. That's the work that drove our suspension rates down. And looking forward, the governor's May revise proposes an additional approximately $1.4 million in this LREBG funding. Now that's not a final amount just yet, it's pending the state budget adoption, but if it lands, those funds will be allocated to continue learning recovery work for our highest need students.
I have a question on
Yes.
what are the 3 high schools that we're looking at implementing the IB program?
The IB program is going to be the middle years program at Pinacati Middle School, and then at Paloma Valley High School, and also at Paris High School. All right. So this slide, did I skip a slide? Here we go, yes. This slide shows both new or significantly expanded investments, all rooted in what we heard from our families and our students, all aligned to the student outcome data indicators. The bilingual para-educators at every site, which is direct in-classroom EL support, the Apple Neo device pilot, the LREBG funded paired with Tier 1 coaching, expanded CTE pathways in education, residential construction, medical and patient care, with aviation and fire science under review as labor market demand grows, the CalGETC dual enrollment, scaling from the Heritage pilot, but also making it available to students at our other comprehensive school sites, putting CSU and UC transfer line coursework within reach for hundreds more students. Expanded stipends for coaching and advisor positions. Mr. Campos, you mentioned earlier that this is what our students come to school for. This is the engagement to attendance work, is increasing the stipends for our staff to support all of these extracurricular activities for our students. And then we have the tiered wellness supports. Tier 1, social emotional learning, mental health resources, and the community schools framework. 26-27, as I've mentioned before, is the final year of the cycle, but it's also the bridge year. And as we prepare for that new 3-year cycle, we're sharpening our focus on what matters the most, and that's instruction. And there's 2 priorities that are going to carry forward, and both are academic, just as goals 1 and 2 are. So the academic ELA and math, and as Dr. Rao said today, I need to add science to this. That instructional infrastructure that we built carries forward our MTSS framework, the math curriculum adoption, the Math-TOSA support, the instructional coaching, the multilingual learner supports, and expanded summer and extended learning. And there's the continued growth of our academic college and career supports. The full portfolio of rigorous programs that you see here carries forward. CalGETC, dual enrollment, implementation of IB, AVID, AP Capstone, CTE, and DLI. Both of these priorities are anchored in the academic outcomes that matter for our students and our families. And both will be shaped by ongoing engagement with our community, our students, and our staff. To recap what tonight's story has been, our students are showing up at higher rates than they have in the last 5 years. Increased attendance generates increased ADA, which increases funding. Sustained enrollment of our high-need students grows our supplemental and our concentration funding. And we are investing those dollars across goals that reflect our student needs, our district priorities, and our pillars, and also elevates the voices of our community. Our key dashboard indicators are rising. We have a lot more work ahead of us to continue to improve student outcomes and close these achievement gaps, but we're moving in the right direction. And we're confident that that momentum is going to continue. All right, I'll now turn this over to you for any questions. Thank you to our families, our students, our staff, our bargaining units, and our community partners who shaped the strategic plan for our school district. And I am humbled to represent you all tonight.
Any questions from the board?
You know what, so the one question I have, I see that next year we're finishing the 3rd-year cycle. So when we start building the next 3-year cycle, obviously this is pretty much set in motion so that we can start in the next year. Like at what point during the year we wanted to see if there's to create or add something into the LCAP and see if we could do it. At what point in the year would we be looking at something like that?
From day one.
Okay, so for next year to look for 2027-28.
Correct.
It starts in the beginning of the year. So you start building it at that point. Okay.
Yes. And so we're going to start building it through that education partner involvement. We're going to continue monitoring and evaluating the metrics to see what's working, what's not, what we want to carry forward in the next cycle, or what we want to reframe, or things that we want to, change focus on.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I received a message from Dr. Dodson, and he wants to thank you, Mrs. Chavez, for all your hard work, Mark's hard work, and I'm going to add Mimi's hard work and Dr. Williams as well. He's very, very thankful for everything you did, and he apologizes that he didn't get to make that publicly. And I want to thank you all for all your hard work as well. Anything else from the board?
Yeah. So is it fair to say, where's for personnel cost, when we add new personnel cost and stuff like that, where does that money come from out of this? How do you factor that in? That hasn't shown up yet.
So the answer is it depends. It depends on two things. What is the work that position is going to do? If it's a base type of support, then it's going to be a general fund expenditure. But if it's a supplemental support and above and beyond, then that could be supported by the LCAP depending on what the position is going to be doing, and then also what goal it's aligned to.
So does it take away from students? I mean, how do you factor that all in?
Yeah.
Where's the data that's going to support that?
Yeah, so, there's different metrics that we use and it depends on the position. So an example that I'll use is the increase in the stipends for our clubs and organizations in our athletics. And so, as Mr. Campos mentioned earlier, this is what brings our students to school, all these extracurricular activities. And so that's a metric that we can measure through our attendance, through our involvement in our programs, through increased enrollment in the various programs that we provide at our schools. And so that's one way to look at it. Another position that I'll use it as an example that we support with our LCAP funds is the coordinator of multilingual learners. That's a position that we added that's supported by the LCAP to address a very specific need. Our data was showing that our English learners and our long-term English learners needed additional support. And so we hired the coordinator of multilingual learners to really, provide that expertise for instruction for the students. You saw tonight that, she recognized the state seal of biliteracy. And so that's a supplemental support that the LCAP provides that's aligned with our goals. And so that's a position that we added in there.
Do you know how many paraeducators you're going to be able to place at each school?
So we were starting, I believe it was it 15 district-wide. Yeah, and that's actually going to be supported. Correct. Yes, it's actually going to be it's through braided funding, and so it's going to be a combination of LCAP but also federal funds, title dollars.
Will they kind of move around, or will they be stationed assigned at a certain school?
I'm not quite sure.
Based on the need.
Based on the need.
Based on the need.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's, so built into these numbers is 16.1 and 9.5. So and I guess that's what, these presentations are great. They're very well done, but like a simple spreadsheet of like how we know how that 9.5 million is being spent. So for example, if it's math and it's on, a math teacher at each site, and it gives us a breakdown. I think that for me would, as he was speaking, that would be kind of a little bit something easier for me to kind of look at it to say, okay, this is what we have going, at this site we have, 3 EL paras, we have, a teacher working, and that, whatever it is. I think that would be like helpful to see, because when you just see a $16.1 million number, it's like, okay, so what does that mean when it's a CTE pathway? Like, how much is being dedicated to the CTE pathway, and how is it being dedicated to that pathway? Because all I see is, okay, that, or is it, AVID, I know the tutoring and all that stuff gets broken down, but it would be helpful, at least I know for me, and I don't know if that's kind of one of the things.
I'm going to, seeing where actually everything is lined up at.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of like why I asked that question, is it going to be scattered, or even the community going, oh, well, why does, overall number, we're not going to get it.
Yeah, or like an equity thing, because if for me, it would, you'd know, okay, well, at Liberty, they're getting this, and I know every site has different needs. And that's obviously, we allocate what we need to the site based on their need. But it would be nice to just be able to say, okay, well, Liberty has these programs, and, these programs are, the majority of that money that's being spent on that program is obviously the teacher. And so that way, when you break it down, we know, okay, because when we oversee so let's just say we're meeting with our constituents, I could say, at Liberty High School, start educating the community, hey, through LCAP, we have, this program, this teacher, this, that, and they understand, oh, this is how our tax dollars are being spent and allocated into the sites, because otherwise it's just big numbers and there's nothing that we can really use to like say, oh, okay, well, we have, this going on, and it just would be, I think, a little bit more helpful, at least for me to understand all the numbers, although this is great to break down the actual numbers to account for, the 38.1 million we're getting. But yeah, I would agree on that.
I actually have that spreadsheet, so I'll have it
Oh,
in your
yeah.
inbox tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
Yeah. Just a request, I'd like to talk to you about stipends
Sure.
at a later date,
Okay.
okay?
Are you gonna coach something for us?
Sleep? Sleep class. We can talk at a later date. I just want to see how you work that.
Absolutely.
And I just want to thank you for all the work you've done in the department, because now we're more focused on what's actually going on
Yes.
and what you're accomplishing. So I really feel good about that, and that you're the right person in there.
Thank you.
And it brought this together for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I know you go to all the events and everything else too. So
Oh, yeah.
as you as well as all the administrators carry a heavy load. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anything else?
This is awesome. I love this. This is like, wow. I'm gonna go. I'm excited to read this now because it's just so. I love organized things. It's so organized. One question I had with the foster youth,
Yes.
I noticed that the suspension rate is almost triple than everyone else.
It is.
What are we, do you know anything that we can do, or are we doing anything to focus on that area? I'm sure that's a smaller group of students, but obviously it's, there's something going on there.
Right. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's actually one of the areas that were flagged for differentiated assistance. And so through supports from RCOE, that's one of the areas that is a focus for us for next school year. Not only do we have additional supports in the LCAP, but we also have additional grant funding that support the achievement for our foster youth and re-engaging them here at school. And sometimes we have these meetings, they're called bid meetings or best interest determinations. And that's if a student is coming to us from a different school, or one of our foster kids that's with us is gonna move into a home that's at a different district, and we'll have those best interest determination meetings so that we can provide the support for the student. But I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's one of our differentiated assistance areas. And so it's going to be one of our intentional areas of focus for next year.
And if I may add, Trustee and I, we have been working on our foster youth. They are the most vulnerable students in our society. They have gone through a lot, most than any other students. So they deserve that we provide the support. And we have wonderful staff members who are helping us. We had a meeting with RCOE. They provided the list. We have 111, how many? Yeah, there is not a big number. So they said that we can provide the direct support for them. Every school identify the foster youth, every counselor, and then do a follow-up. So starting this year, in the same way that we monitored 2 years ago when I started fights, vapes and tobacco, we are going to be doing with our foster youth, looking at how are they doing in the first program report, in the rates, and then the support, social, emotional support, everything. That is one of the great things of being working in the district, because we have that opportunity to help our students, the ones who most need it.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking that.
I'm sure it's a smaller group, so I would love for I don't want to say recognition, but just that each school site be aware of who the students are. Not that they need special treatment or they should have special treatment, but that way everyone could just be mentally aware of their situation, and that they do need a little special more care and care and love, I would say. But yeah, that would be amazing to see. I would love to hear next year what's going on in that and how we improve.
And one thing that I can add, just for everybody to know, during our cabinet meetings, I have the agenda. And there are 2 items that are always there. The first one is fight vapes and tobacco. That is the first thing we meet with the director of safety in order to analyze. The second one is attendance. For this coming year, foster youth. And we have different tabs and different information that every single week we are going to be analyzing that data.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Call
Can I have one more question? And it's only because I don't want Anna to print something where she doesn't need to. So on the link that we have in the agenda, there's like a 42-page document, and I know a lot of it's like the statistical stuff of, I mean, it's helpful because it tells you all the STDs and all the rest of the sites. Is that in there? Because when I was looking through this, I couldn't find this information in there, but it might be hidden.
Is it the local indicators report or the LCAP
The-
federal addendum?
Yes, the addendum.
Okay,
The
So-
ESSA.
that's a separate document. It's not in your binder, but I can print it and put it in the binder. The federal addendum talks about the additional federal funding that our district receives and how we use that to support our special student groups.
Okay, no, because Anna was gonna work on printing. I just didn't know, I didn't want her to have to do that if it was embedded in that, but okay.
So they
Perfect,
all go
well, you
together.
answered that question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Call for the vote in the
Thank
meantime.
you.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, the public hearing regarding the local control accountability plan and 2026-27 annual update has been closed at 6:58 p.m. There's a motion by Trustee Hall and second by Trustee Anaya to receive for review and consideration as part of the first reading the local control and accountability plan and annual update for the 26-27 school year. Call for the vote. Item 11.1 passes 5-0. Item 11.2, business, proposed 2026-27 budget presented by Dr. Marguerite Williams. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing to receive comments regarding 26-27 district budget?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Hall and Trustee Stafford. Dr. Williams, the 26-27 district budget public hearing is now open at 6:59 p.m. Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
Good evening again, Board, Dr. Rao and Cabinet, and those of you who are in the audience and may be listening to this later. As the slides come up, tonight we are presenting the 26-27 proposed budget along with our 25-26 estimated actuals. The presentation reflects the work of our entire business services team, and we appreciate the board's time and attention for this required annual presentation. I want to share some notable highlights from the governor at our May revise. And as you can see there, we have our LCFF COLA, which is being called the Super COLA. It includes our statutory COLA of 2.87, as well as an augmentation of 1.44%, bringing it to that total number of 4.31. Next, you'll see for the Prop 98 block grant, we'll be getting an additional dollars on top of what was already shared and given to us at the governor's budget in January. Our AB 602 special education revenue will be seeing an increase of approximately 34%. And then there is a new mandate, which is called the Paid Pregnancy Disability Leave, 14 weeks of paid leave. And then down at the bottom, you'll see a COLA for high need programs. And those are the various programs that we have across the district. The 2.87 COLA will be applied to those specific programs. Tonight, we're going to cover 5 areas. We're going to talk about the proposed budget, the estimated actuals, which is giving an indicator of where we will close out our current fiscal year. We'll talk about enrollment in ADA, revenue and expenditures broken out by unrestricted, restricted, combined, as well as taking a look at our multi-year projections and next steps. I've also provided you with a detailed narrative that's attached to this agenda item for your reading in the future. We are standing before you presenting a positive budget As you know, a positive budget means that the district is able to meet all of its financial needs in the operation of the district. The action is governed by Education Code 42127, which requires each district governing board to hold a public hearing and adopt a proposed budget on or before July 1st of each year. Tonight satisfies both requirements. The public hearing and the adoption action will take place on June 17th. The next slide talks about the 45-day revision. Because we have not had our signed state budget prior to the creation and adoption of our budget, if there are any material changes, we will bring that back to the board in our August meeting to give you any updates. Budget cycle. I've talked about this quite a bit because it's important to know that the budget cycle is just not one time. It begins in the beginning of the year where we adopt the budget in July, and we build that budget based on what we know at that time. And throughout the year, we're constantly being given additional information that makes changes. So once we have our adopted budget, then we move into our first interim where we have a little bit more information. Then we move into second interim where we're mid-year and we have much more information. And right now we're at that phase where we can see a little bit clearer with our estimated actuals, with a projection on where we're going to end the year. And then finally, in September, we'll come back and present to you our unaudited actuals. So before we move into the proposed budget numbers, I want to take a moment to tell the story of 25-26 because it's a story worth telling. At budget adoption last year, the district projected a deficit of approximately $2.9 million to the unrestricted ending fund balance. By first interim, that projection had deepened to $4.4 million deficit. By second interim, we had improved it slightly to $3.9 million. Tonight, I'm pleased to report that the 25-26 estimated actuals show a positive increase to the ending fund balance of $1 million. And that is due to a lot of the amazing work you've heard in our LCAP presentation. Yes. This swing of nearly $4 million from most recent interim reports and nearly $4 million better than adopted budget had a lot to do with different revenues coming in. Also, the biggest and most proudest moment, as Dr. Rao has shared, our ADA increase from 90.65 to 92.16. So those were meaningful gains where we generated approximately $2.5 million because of that increase. $500,000 of that went to our LCAP for supplemental and concentration. We also had safety credits that came into the unrestricted at the amount of $2.4 million prior than projections. We also had our $2 million in our RDA funds that helped to offset district's contribution to routine restricted maintenance. So a lot happened to get us to this point, and very well much appreciated from all of our teams across the district and their hard work. So on this slide, you'll see where you've heard the good news already that our ADA has increased. When you look at our estimated actuals and our proposed budget, we will be budgeting on the 92.16. So that is an amazing accomplishment and increase in revenue for our district. So we are very, very pleased to see those numbers. Next, you'll you'll see where it shows LCFF funding. So it tells you how much we're getting for each student in grades 7 through 8, as well as how much we're getting for students in grades 9 through 12. And if you go to the very bottom line, after adding up all of those various dollar amounts for our 7th through 8th graders, we're getting approximately $14,266 for each student in grades 7 through 8. in grades 9 through 12, we're getting $16,964. Therefore, it is so important that we continue to increase our ADA because having our students here allows us to get the full dollar amount based on these funding formula. So next we're going to move into revenue and unrestricted information. So here on this slide, this is a comparison where we're looking at the current year, 25-26, and projecting how we think the year will end. And we're now looking ahead to the next year as well. So as you can see there, our LCFF funding sources increase for 26-27 by $7 million. That is an increase in the next year of revenue. That is excellent, excellent news. You're also seeing a decrease in our other local. So the wash brings us down to 2.5 million approximately in that area. Here, this is our unrestricted expenditures. Again, we're looking at closing out this year and opening up next year. And we're seeing an increase in our expenditures at $6.4 million. And that is due to additional revenue that we're getting that we have to budget for. Here's our contribution to restricted resources, and we continue to see this increase over time, and we continue to monitor these areas to make sure that we are making the appropriate investments for all of our students. So as we look ahead for the next year, the investment is an additional $4.3 million for our students and our RMA. One of the biggest things there is the COVID ADA relief that we experience in this year, we will not have in the next year or out years. So here's a look at our combined revenue for estimated actuals. And again, we're seeing an increase to our revenue of $6.9 million. As we look at our combined general fund expenditures, this is unrestricted and restricted, and we're seeing a $10 million increase, making sure that we're spending all of our restricted dollars in the way that they are designed. Here's a look at all of our other funds. I'm mainly talking about Fund 03, and these are other funds that we have in our financials, so just wanted to give you a glimpse. So you'll see in that first column the fund number, a description, what was the beginning balance, revenue that we got in this year, expenditures that we spent this year, and then what our ending fund balance is. So that's a glimpse at a glance of our other funds. Components of our ending fund balance want to bring your attention to and where we need to continue to do our work as we look at our net decrease in ending fund balance. Again, we celebrated $1 million at estimated actuals, and we're looking at our proposed budget of approximately a 7.1% deficit that we will continue to take action during our superintendent's budget advisory to put in a place to address that. So this section now goes into multi-year. We've talked a lot about 26-27 and comparing that to 25-26. Now you get to see the big picture for the upcoming year and 2 years out, which is a requirement for our COE that we have 3 years of budget. So here on this slide, you'll see what are the factors that we're using to build our budget. So for example, when you look at statutory COLA, these are the percentages that have been outlined and that we will use to build our budget. You'll also see CalSTRS and CalPERS percentages. And as you can see there, our CalPERS is continuing to increase in the first and second year, and then it decreases slightly in that third year. So these are our assumptions. So when you ask us how we are building the budget, we're using these assumptions to do that. Again, great news about our ADA. We are being conservative in our out years, and our enrollment is currently flat. We look forward to seeing our enrollment continue to increase, but we do want to be mindful that we want to have a conservative approach and then celebrate those increases as they arrive with additional data through our CBEDS, which will come forward in October. So next, this is a look at our revenue for the 3 years. And as you can see, our revenue is increasing over the 3 years, which is good news. More revenue that we have, we're allowed to take care of all of the expenditures. And then here, you'll see our expenditures. Our expenditures are also continuing to increase, starting in 26-27 at 151 million and ending up in 28-29 at 164 million. And our biggest drivers, as with any district, is always going to be salaries and benefits. So taking a look at our contribution to restricted programs, and you'll see there that we are increasing from the 34 million to 37 million approximately in the 3rd year out. We will continue to monitor those as we go forward. Take a look at our ending fund balance, and I'll just call out a few areas here for our attention. In 26-27, we're seeing our structural imbalance beginning at 7.1 million and increasing to 13.7 million in the 3rd year out. Again, that is definitely time for us to make those adjustments before entering those years, and we'll do that in our superintendent's budget advisory committee meeting. So just for strategic fiscal considerations, we want to continue to preserve our reserves to ensure that we have the budget capacity to respond to changing economic conditions. We want to ensure that long-term commitments can be supported by ongoing funding sources, and as I've said throughout the presentation, address projected fiscal pressures early so future solutions remain thoughtful, collaborative, and locally driven. Next steps. We will closely monitor the governor's May revise, and we will come back to the board if we have any material changes at the August 12th board meeting. And the last thing, and I've said this throughout the presentation as well, our superintendent's budget advisory committee will continue to lead the planning process focused on addressing our projected deficits in 27-28 through 28-29. And Dr. Rao has been a lead in our budget advisory committee. He's there at every meeting, setting the example for the rest of the team. So I really want to appreciate his leadership and the seriousness that we take as we enter those meetings and are very thoughtful around how do we make reductions away from the classroom and away from our staff. So I want to again say this is a milestone night for Mimi and the business services team. We can go home and we can rest tonight. They put in countless hours creating these documents to be able to bring them to you. So I really just want to appreciate business services team. It took the entire division working together to accomplish this. So we want to thank you. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
If we look at our trend, if we keep trending this way, when do you see us going into our reserves? At what year?
Say that one more time.
So if we keep trending in a deficit spending way, when do you see us dipping into our reserves?
That's an excellent question. So as we continue to monitor our budget, we currently have a very strong 6% reserve right now. And as we continue to see the structural imbalances, we will always come back to the board under the leadership of our superintendent if we're going to reduce that from 6% to 3%. So we are at a place right now that we have a 6%, which is more than what's required, but I'm confident through our budget advisory committee that we are going to have thoughtful and collaborative decision making this upcoming year to make sure that we're looking at all of the expenditures. And, one of the things we left our advisory from this year when we had our last meeting, we agreed to move to data. What we're doing, what does the data say? So that's going to be very critical as we look at contracts, as we look at goods and services, that we have data to actually support it. So I feel confident in moving in that direction to be able to make decisions again around data.
So we've got to be very conservative about how we spend our money.
We have to be very conservative, we must monitor, and we must make reductions away from our classrooms and from our staff.
So you don't have like a 10-year, we don't ever want to get to that 6%. I get what you're saying, but let's say if we didn't go to the superintendent, if we just kept going the way we're going, 5 years, 10 years.
We keep going the way we're going to deplete our reserves, and I wouldn't be standing here with a positive recommendation. We'd be looking at a qualified or negative certification.
Right.
And I'm confident that our superintendent and his leadership will continue to guide the district in making the thoughtful choices and decisions that we need to make to correct any path to that.
You have to.
Thank you. Thank you, President Garcia. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Thank you to the board for asking those very important questions. I would like to go back to the slide where it says contributions for special ed. Please. Okay. So we don't know how much was during this current 25-26 school year, how much were the contributions. But it is my understanding that the state is helping us with 35% increase on the special ed funding. My specific question is, in these 28 million for 26-27, did we already include that 35% increase on special ed?
Yes, we did, Dr. Arau. So if you take a look here at estimated actuals for this year, right now, just for special ed is 27.3 million. And as you know, each year expenditures increase. But yes, we have already offset
What was that
for the
again?
next year.
27 what?
27.3
Okay, thank you.
is what we are looking at for 25-26, and then is proposed to increase to 28.2. But we have already built in the governor's 34% increase, so that relieves the financial pressure off the unrestricted funds.
Okay, what does that RRMA mean?
Routine restricted maintenance.
Okay, so we have that extra, we contribute that.
Yes, that's the 3%.
Okay, but then we are going to subtract 3 million from the COVID in the okay.
In the
In the
25-26,
25.
but we don't have that in the out year.
26, 27. Okay, thank you. My next question is, and this is mostly for clarification to the board, and please correct me at the moment that what I'm saying, I'm misinterpreting that. These numbers are just estimates. And as you can see, we are basing them on 92.16% ADA. So you might have been thinking when you heard that from Dr. Williams, wait a minute, Arau's told us that almost 93%. Did he lie to us? No, I didn't lie to any of you. What happened is, and you mentioned that, Trustee Hall, Dr. Williams is being conservative. But also this budget takes some time to build. Mm-hmm. So at the moment that they did that, that was 92.16. Now we are close to 93%. And we are confident that in September, when we have the real numbers, that is going to be even more. And that is going to have a significant impact on the deficit budget. Okay. I'm saying this because this is so important, because even as a board member, and I hear from several of you that sometimes the district presents to you, we are going to be deficit spending in this area. And then at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, suddenly, magically, money appears. Right. And guess what? We are not that in that deficit budget anymore. And that is concerning for you, right? Because how we were told one thing and now it's another one. So I just making this clarification to look at things in perspective, because that 92.16 that we are using that right now as a variable is going to increase, and I hope higher than 73%. And how I mentioned 1% is equivalent to about $1.5 million. So if we can just keep that in mind, that this is a projected multi-year projection. It's a multi-year projection. Plus, through the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, we are going to be identifying what areas, what programs are not satisfying the specific needs of our students, and that we can save some money there. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that to add to the work that Dr. Williams and thank you to Mimi and the fiscal department, because I know that you work really hard in order to have this ready. Okay.
And thank you, Dr. Rao. And that's why it was so important for me to tell the story at the beginning. And Dr. Rao just did it very well. How it happened, why it happened, because those questions do come up. They come up from our labor partners, they come up from the board, and we want you to know the story behind how did we get to a plus 1 million when we came before you last year saying 2.9 deficit is because of the hard work of the team and additional revenue that came into the district.
Thank you, President Garcia. Another question, Dr. Williams, that I think the board deserves, that we address that. Can you talk about a little bit the one-time funding and how we are using that one-time funding to the benefit of our students? So we receive this amount of money, it's a one-time funding, and it was designed for this, and this is how we're using it.
Excellent question. I don't have the exact language in front of me, but at the governor's budget in January, we received $5 million approximately. So those dollars are being used for instructional services, as well as in human resources for recruitment and retention and other programs that's going to build the culture of our district through human resources. At the May revise, the governor increased that, and we are projected to get another $4.2 million additional. Those dollars have not been defined on where they're going to go at this time, and they have not been budgeted because we want to wait until our state budget is signed, and then we'll bring that back to cabinet and make a decision on the additional $4.2 million that we're getting above what was given to us in January.
So we have that commitment, and I shared this with the board, to use that funding for what they were allocated for. If they were allocated for our students, that money will go to our students.
Yeah.
We have a lot of needs in our students, and we want to invest that money. First of all, because that was the first, that was the ultimate goal from the legislation. That was the spirit of that allocation. Even though sometimes there are some parameters that they can say, oh, you can use it also on this. But we can do that after we have satisfied the needs of our students. First, we are going to ensure the needs of our students, and then we can look into, okay, we already satisfied the needs, it's in one-time money, we need to spend it, then we can use it on this.
Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Rao. It is discretionary dollars. So there, as Dr. Rao said, other parameters, it could be used for rising costs, such as our deficit. Also making sure that we're taking care of the needs of our students academically. We're making sure we're taking care of staff through various programs. But those are the big bucket parameters around using those dollars.
All right, thank you.
You know what, I have a question, and it doesn't really require an answer right now at the moment. It popped in when you're talking about the legislature and all the other stuff in the planning. So I know that we're year 2 in our community schools grant, and I believe that the governor in the May revise added, I think, $1.5 billion. I know that originally it was $5 billion, then they cut it back to, I think, 4, and then now he was adding, I think, $1.5 billion was put into the community schools, because as we're talking about looking at funding, obviously the community schools model is basically their funding need for, I forgot if it was 4 or 5 years, but they were doing it so that it can, then we would have to fund it through our funds if funds were there. And then knowing if we're heading into a future where if things are kind of like, Trustee Hall was mentioning about the deficit spending. So I guess the question is that 1.5 billion, do we have a number set for that? And is that to kind of extend and maybe carry that program out a little bit longer? Or is it to supplement what we have under the current term? And you don't have to, I mean, if you don't have all the information, just kind of something to throw out there. Because I know that came up and I saw the additional funding for it. And I was just thinking, okay, well, how does that affect us? Anyways.
Yeah, that is a request that we also have from staff as well, looking at how the 2.87 COLA on the very categorical programs will come into play. How will it be realistic? We hear the governor at the state level saying this, but how does it apply? So we are working on getting that, and I'm happy to share that out with the board as soon as we identify that.
So now that's a part of the 2.8, or is it, I thought it was a separate.
It is a separate one, but we've had questions about, well, how does the 2.8, apply to this fund and that fund? So we're gonna put all of that together. We wanted to just get the budget completed, and then we'll go back and look at that. And then also the enacted budget has trailer bills and other information that we need to know and being able to build those numbers, but we will definitely.
And I know it's just down the road, but I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I would just like to comment too that maybe possibly with the one-time funds that we could start applying that more to the students too as well. I know we have areas of attention that need extra attention, but the one-time funds we need to support our students.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Dr.
2026.
Brown said that.
Okay, thank you.
I have
The 26.
Since we're talking about
Gotta
money.
get him on a hot mic.
I hate getting on the mic. So beginning of the year, we had issues with ASB, starting off the new year with no money. Is there a way to, and I don't know when we allocate it, but start them off with money?
Like seed money.
That's a good question. Let me look into that and I'll get back to you.
I don't know when, now.
Actually, we could give direction.
Later, is it?
We could give direction right now. Would you like to do consensus?
I just want to make sure it's compliant because ASB is a student.
Right. I know we can do
associated.
it, and it just has to be set for all schools the same or something like that. But I know there's some schools that don't have a problem with it, and there's some schools that really struggle with, not having money in their bucket for the beginning of the year.
Yeah, no, and I understand your compliance issue and concern, and I guess, because I know when this came up earlier, I know that, so let's just say, just to give numbers, if we started each site with 10 grand, obviously throughout the year, they're gonna fundraise, do things, dances, events, all these other things. They could then, kind of, how at the end of the year, we always borrow money and pay this year, last, kind of the same idea, where it's not like it's a gift, but it's on loan, hey, so that they don't start off with the pressure of having to fundraise for something, and then it's like, hey, get started with this, so that they could use that to get the year going, and then once they start the fundraising and bringing in the cash, then they can kind of, okay, we have to pay that original amount, and then now we can start building and saving for these others so that they can then generate more funds for all their other projects that they're going to do. Because I do understand what you're saying about the compliance, because ASB we can get in a lot of trouble if that's not properly
Do we
handled.
build that into the LCAP? I mean, I don't know.
I would like to go back and work with the team and be able to bring you the right information and not take guesses.
No,
So can I make a recommendation? How about we just ask her to look into it, build this plan, and then come back to us?
Absolutely.
Do we have consensus there?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. All right. Moving on. The 26-27 district budget public hearing is now closed at 7:31 p.m. There is a motion by Trustee Hall, a second by Trustee Stafford to receive the 26-27 district budget for review and consideration. Please vote. Item 11.2 passes 5-0. 12.1 consent calendar. Approval of consent calendar items. Do I have a motion?
So,
Trustee Anaya,
Second.
Trustee Hall. Any discussion? See none, please vote. Item 12.1 passes 5-0. Item 14.1 Board Policies, Business and Non-Instructional Operations Series 3000. 15.1 Closed session if necessary. Do I have a motion, or do we need to go to closed session?
Not at this time.
Item 17.1 Other items by the superintendent.
No, Presidente.
Thank you. Item 18.1 Other items by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Campos.
No.
Trustee Hall.
No.
Trustee Stafford.
None for me.
Trustee Anaya.
nothing at this time.
And myself, and none at this time. Item 19.1 Future Board Topics. Are there any future board topic requests? Trustee Campos.
Yes, so I would like to see, if it's possible, I know it's kind of late in the year, but to see if we can fund a VAPA, basically administrator, to oversee our program, to kind of build our programs.
Did you say a VAPA administrator?
Correct. Or AP, I don't know how they, would have to be someone that has an administrative credential to oversee the teachers and the programs and kind of advocate for them. But, with the hopes of using Prop 28 money.
Okay. Any other items?
No.
Trustee Hall?
Nope.
You say no?
Nope.
Trustee Stafford?
None for me.
Trustee Anaya?
Nothing at this time.
And myself, I want to bring back the metal detectors, the funding of the metal detectors. Okay, well, I'm still going to put it on there. Okay. I want to add an item for discussion and report for the next board meeting to bring proposal and implementation plan, which includes starting the negotiations process with our labor partners to move forward with the metal detectors for the district. Wow, I jumped ahead. Do I have a motion?
What's it for?
The metal detectors.
I thought that was a future board topic.
Yeah, but my notes.
Just put it on.
My notes. Yeah.
Oh, wait, you don't need a vote for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm following the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I'm making the motion.
Yeah.
And then you're seconding?
If you need a second, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that's all tied together. Yes. Okay, any discussion? I'm just looking how it's written.
I'll tell you what I'm smiling.
Okay. All right, please vote. (19.1) passes 5-0. Item 19.2, adjournment of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for June 1st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Stafford and Trustee Anaya, any discussion? See none, please vote.
Oh, did I? That's pretty cool. Yeah. You said these came in the mail?
Waiting for you, Mr. Stafford. Oh. Upon the vote being taken, the vote is 5-0. This meeting is adjourned at 7:36 p.m. Good night, everyone.